Hey guys, welcome to another exciting episode of the ANOKHI Uncensored show. I'm your host, Girn, the founder of the umbrella brand ANOKHI Life. And I'm thrilled to be coming to you guys today and having the opportunity to chat with Canada's premier mindset and wellness expert, Sonia Jhas. She's also a TEDx speaker and mental health advocate, among so many other things that we will be sharing today. And she's launched a book. It's her debut book, and it hit Amazon bestseller status instantly. We are going to be talking about the book and many other things as we travel through our conversation. But I want to share the title of the book with you guys because it's really, really provocative. The book is called I'll Start Again Tomorrow and Other Lies I've Told Myself. What a title, guys, and one that we can all relate to on some level, right? Especially that feeling of letting ourselves down when we don't do all the things we feel we should, and further beating ourselves up, always when we are continuously putting it off to tomorrow, and tomorrow never seems to come. We can all relate to this because on some level, we have done this, we are this, and we keep projecting this as being the hamster wheel that we're on. What we're hoping to do today with Sonia is to really kind of unpack some of that through her journey of having done the same. Please welcome to the show now, officially, the fabulous Sonia Jhas, who's going to deep dive all the reasons why maybe we need to do things a little bit differently. And I think the biggest part of this is that we need to be kind to ourselves. Welcome to the show, sweetheart, and thanks for agreeing to be on.
Thank you so much for having me. I mean, today is the day, and I couldn't think of a better way to spend my morning than unpacking the truths and the lies with my dear Girn. And so it's an honor to be here. It feels like a celebration. It feels like we're going to go on a journey together, and I am so excited to deep dive.
Oh my gosh, my darling, you're such a sweetheart. I adore everything about you. And I want to kind of, in context to what you just said there, I want to do something a little differently than I would normally do when I prep for an interview, which is I would prep for an interview. I've decided that I want this to be as organic as humanly possible. And Sonia, you know that I haven't prepped you in any shape or form for what we're going to be talking about. Obviously, we're talking about the book. But where that's going to take us, I feel needs to be as organic as possible. And I feel that people will get a lot more value if, and I hope that you're up for this, sweetheart, if I was to open the book for the first time with you right now.
I'm going to cry if you do that. Raj, my makeup is going to come off my face.
Here it is.
Guys.
Freezing. Oh my God. Well, we don't have the fabulous Shirley Wu here to keep you on point.
I need a touch up. Can somebody just help me, please?
Oh my God. So I just received this yesterday in the mail from Sonia's team. And we specifically, even though I've been a part of her journey in some capacities over the course of the last couple of years.
So many capacities.
Oh, sweetheart. I haven't actually even open the first page of this book. So here, and I purposely wanted to do it this way so that this is truly a moment that you guys would also have, which is that feeling of when you first open a book that you've been waiting so long to open. So this is the packaging. And of course, to Sonia Jhas, true style, she's going to make it meaningful. The title is right there as well, if you guys can see. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up now. And we are going to just really, like, what pops out at me is what we're going to be talking about. So let's see what happens here. Oh my gosh. Well, this I'm going to read absolutely on my own. Thank you so much for this, sweetheart. Wow. And this is truly, I'm just going to flash it because I don't want you guys to read it because I know nobody can
read my handwriting. Good luck to you too. Like I'll probably have to translate it.
Oh my gosh, perfect. But this is true to Sonia's style. One thing I've noticed about her is she is so OCD in her mindfulness and in her managing both her own expectations and those of the people around her. So I cannot wait to read this. And actually, if truth were to be told, the reason I don't want to read it is because I don't have Shirley Wu here either. And I'm sure that, we don't want to see me and Sonia in that state.
No, we'll keep the gross part offline. We'll disintegrate later. We'll hold it together for everyone else. But
absolutely. I cannot wait. Oh my gosh, I have been waiting for this moment. Here we go, guys. And if you guys haven't gotten your book already, what the heck are you guys doing? Go get it right now. It's on Amazon and so many other places, and we will be talking about that. Wow, how fabulous is this, guys? Here's the cover. Isn't that tremendous? It speaks to me on so many levels, Sonia. And I know that it really will speak to every single human on the planet, because we all have this sense of feeling like we're not doing enough and not being kind to ourselves either. So before I open the book, having a look at this, front cover, I want to ask you a couple of fundamental questions before we kind of go through the journey of the book. Sure. Are you game for that?
Yeah, I'm ready. You take me wherever we're destined to go, Raj. You are in the driver's seat. Let's go.
Okay. So the first thing I want to ask you is the obvious, the title. I'll start again tomorrow and other lies I've told myself. Why choose this as your title?
Oh, such a good question. And, I wish there was some sort of elaborate story that I could share. But this was maybe the easiest part of the journey. And Raj, as you know, because you've been with me through so much of it, this journey has been messy, like so messy and treacherous. And the title itself was one of those moments, they're like, and then you have an epiphany, and you're like, nobody has an epiphany. I don't know where the title came from, but I was off to train a client, Michelle, in the morning one day. And, it was a really early start. I got to her condo building, maybe 10 minutes before the session was supposed to start.
And by the way, we're talking about Michelle Romano here, right?
Michelle Romano, dear friend, course. Amazing client. And, in that 10-minute period, I was just sitting in the quiet of her condo lobby, and it was dark outside because it was winter, not a person around. And I was thinking, for a few weeks ahead of time, ahead of this moment, what could be a title? And that publishing house at the time was, giving me all sorts of ideas, and other people were throwing their versions, at me, and nothing was sticking. And I was like, I'll know when it comes to me, we'll see. And I was thinking in that moment, as I was sitting there in the lobby, about like, what are the things I tell myself? Like, what if I look at everything that I have been writing about is the common theme here? And all of a sudden, I was like, I'll start again on Monday. Because I had this I'll start again on Monday notion that had been carrying me primarily through, I'd say, early university up until the day I wrote the book, and onwards and forwards in iterations from there. But it was like the I'll start again on Monday narrative for me felt so palpable and real and honest, and like it colored every aspect of my life. It was like, I'll start again on Monday when it comes to working out. I'll start again on Monday when it comes to eating right. I'll start again on Monday when it comes to, studying for the exam. I'll start again on Monday when it comes to meditating. It was this idea that I would, get all the things in now and just betray myself, punish myself, eat the damn box of cookies until I couldn't even think about cookies anymore. So that then when Monday came, I would be healed, I would be just aligned, and I would be ready with more motivation and more commitment than I had ever been before. And other lies I've told myself just felt like, Sonia, it just felt like the honesty. It just felt like me setting the stage for the human aspect of this book, because Raj, as you know, I've layered in so many of my personal stories into this book. And my deep hope with the title was that I would be able to evoke that sense, right? That I'll start again tomorrow. Yes, this is what we all go through, but these are the lies I told myself. and let me unpack those lies with you so that you can feel like I'm not just some health and wellness expert that arrived on the scene genetically gifted, like I just, was predisposed to wellness and fitness and success all along, but rather to be able to take you through the vortex of the narrative that I was suffering through all my life to then find freedom on the other side. And I say I'll start again on Monday. And yes, the title is I'll start again tomorrow, because I think the big piece of it for me was that Monday comes later. You don't start believing that you're going to start again on Monday. You start believing that you're going to start again tomorrow. And it's only when you hit that critical point in the week that you're like, well, nobody starts again on a Thursday. That's just ridiculous. And then it goes to Monday. But on the Monday or on the Tuesday, you're not like, I'll start again on Monday. You have this quiet, subtle hope inside that it's okay today. And then tomorrow doesn't come. Tomorrow never comes. Monday happens and the cycle continues. And depending on the first day of the next month and which day that hits, whether that's a Monday or a Wednesday or a Sunday, there's all sorts of sneaky ways that we manipulate ourselves into thinking that tomorrow is going to come and it's going to be the day. But for me, the title just felt true. It felt true for me. And like it was this big grand synopsis of this complicated book that I had written. And also so universal for every single person I have known, I have worked with, I have spoken to, I have met. It doesn't matter if you're a 70-year-old white man working in corporate or if you are, a 16-year-old Indian girl struggling with what to do with her frizzy hair. All of it comes together. And to me, it just felt like this is the truth. And let us unpack this along with so much else.
It's really interesting that you are sharing this, Sonia, because, the fundamental thing that people tell you, especially like book experts, people who write books, literary agents, etc., they always say that you need to define who you're speaking to. And very rarely is that person everyone. But in this case, I truly do believe it's everyone. Yeah. I truly do believe that everyone has that narrative in themselves. And I feel it's a part of the human condition because we're creatives at the core of who we are as humans, right? Where we're constantly looking to strive for something that we don't have today. Right. And that is a very difficult journey to be on because we're kind of predisposed to this idea that tomorrow just happens to be the day that things will be better, when your book defies that. Your book talks about today being the day that is the best you that you are, wherever that may be. Yet tomorrow tomorrow needs to have a place that allows the today's narrative to be healthy. Because it's almost like, okay, if I'm not healthy today, just a lot of this stuff that you're talking about, if I'm not healthy today, it's okay, because tomorrow I will be.
Right.
Why can today not be the day, even in all its potential ugliness?
Yes.
It was meant to be that day today.
Yes.
And I feel that this is a huge core mandate that you kind of strive to explain to everyone in the book. So I want to kind of lead with that and ask you, what's the big idea of this book?
Oh, great question. Again, Raj, just coming in strong without the prep, like as you do. I think the big idea, if I had to be really succinct about it, which I'm not going to be in like 2 seconds. So let me start brief and we'll just go into the whole mess of it all. But I think the piece for me that felt really pivotal when it came to this iteration of the book really builds off of, frankly, my TED Talk, right? This idea that we are racing and we're chasing and we're betraying ourselves in every moment through every decision and every action. We are selling ourselves out for the end destination, believing that happiness is 10 pounds away. believing that happiness is the next career promotion away, believing that happiness is, the ability to wear the strapless dress or the tank top without worrying about how big your arms are, or that happiness is the next relationship, finding someone who's going to love you. And while all those pieces
describes me, by the way,
describes all of us, by the way, right? It's like with all of those pieces, it's not that they're the wrong piece to be chasing. It's what we do to ourselves along the way to get there that creates this major crash, right? It's the either, the scenario where we burn ourselves out along the way. So it's the on again, off again, on again, off again situation, because we can't sustain what it is that we're doing to ourselves to get to the end destination. Or we get to the end destination, like I did many times and I talk about in the book, and we feel empty. We feel unfulfilled. We feel hollow. We're still searching. We're still reaching. We're convincing ourselves that we thought we wanted this thing, but what we really needed was something just like slightly over here, and we're close. We just need to keep ourselves in that chasing and racing mode, right? And so to me, this book is really based on that critical, fundamental notion that there is no end destination. And what you have convinced yourself to believe that you are racing towards is never going to leave you with the feeling that you're longing, that soul feeling, that alignment feeling, the feeling of belonging in your own skin. There's nothing at that end destination, no matter which accolade you're chasing, that's going to get you there. And so if it is in fact about the journey, and Raj, let's be clear, like, of course, everyone's like, it's about the journey. It's not about the destination. It sounds like yet another platitude, right?
Right.
But my hope is that with this book and taking people through the narratives that I experienced and the narratives that I believe they're experiencing, and by vocalizing them in the most honest, unpackaged way possible, my hope is that people will be like, first of all, how does she know that about me? And second of all, oh my God, what she's saying is such a clear depiction of the cycle that I deal with, the narrative that I'm challenged by, the punishment that I put myself through, and that if I'm not alone in that narrative, if it's actually something that we're all experiencing, none of us are free from it, then maybe it's time that we're honest about it. Maybe it's time that we look at it for what it is and unpack it as it relates to the journey, so that we can, yes, have goals and dreams and aspirations for ourselves, but so that today can be the day that we start living in alignment to collect the data, show up with compassion and empathy and support for ourselves, be so tuned in that we can course correct the fine little details to make the journey more joyous, more enjoyable, more pleasurable, as opposed to beating ourselves into submission, waiting until we get there, hoping for a feeling, never getting the feeling, and then trying to figure out in that space where the emptiness is coming from, not actually taking the time to reflect on it and abandoning ourselves to find the next quick fix, right? Because it's all the quick fixes that we are spraying against the wall, hoping something is going to stick. It never does. And yet, I think this world that we live in, this hashtag world, as I call it in the book, it is amplifying the feeling that we should be willing to do all the quick fixes and throw everything at this chase for this outcome. Because if we're not willing to air fry the lettuce chips or abandon carbs altogether or wear the slim waist trainers or do 90 minutes of fasted cardio 2 times a day, if we're not willing to do that the way all the people out there say we should, then does that mean we don't want it bad enough?
Mm-hmm.
But we do want it bad enough. And so then we're like, no, okay, if it's lettuce chips that are going to get me there, then lettuce chips is what I'm going to do because I want it bad enough. Not ever taking a moment, giving ourselves the permission, slowing down time, abandoning the timelines around I need to be skinny by my brother's wedding, to actually look at where the system is failing, where the lifestyle isn't aligned, where we are not showing up for who we really are. Knowing, and this is something that I deeply believe now in every iteration of how I have gone through this journey myself, that like, you can't run from it.
Mm-hmm.
It will hunt you down. It will find you and it will break you down, whether you are 65 or whether you are 25. At whatever point you are ready to be cracked open, it will find you. It means the dissonance, the disconnect, the lack of alignment, the lack of authenticity. It will find you and it will hunt you down and you will be forced to do the work anyway. And that for me is where the book came into the mix.
Right.
Where I was like, if I can shave even a moment, even a month, even a year, even 10 years off of someone's journey, because they're able to pivot their perspective and look at what is really going on differently, then my work here is done. And my journey then has been purposeful. And it has been about so much more than other than me and my own self-loathing and my own self-worth issues and my own challenges. It becomes about universal truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me felt like I owed it to people to share it.
Right. And the book actually, correct me if I'm wrong, because guys, you know, I haven't read this yet. We just opened this. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. I feel that the book, like just from what you're talking about, is going to help us figure out how to accomplish that. Because part of it is mindset. Part of it is dealing with the reality and the honesty of who we are, where we're at, and where do we truly want to go. And the other part is, how do we get there? Like, what are the action steps to get us there, right? Because one without the other, we're still on that hamster wheel, right? We're not getting off that hamster wheel. So I want to, I'm opening the book. I'm opening the book.
Goosebumps.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait to read this. And of course, I wear bifocals.
I can't wait to read this as she pulls the book as far back as she possibly can.
Can I tell you? Like, I need my bifocals right now. I can't see far and I can't see close. It's like hilarious. So let me just hold it back here, being the Gen X that I am.
I love it.
You know, the first thing that jumps out at me, I'm on the contents page, guys. And I noticed that you don't have a forward. And what you do have is you have a note from me to you, in quotes, a note from me to you, and then you have a preface introduction. The first thing that jumps out at me with that is that I love the fact that you're not feeling you need to legitimize the pages of your book by bringing in some celebrity person to say, Sonia is fabulous. I read the book. Go buy, 100 of them for everyone you know. What you've done is that you've made this book like a homage or a dedication to the person that's going to read it. That is pretty, excuse my language, fucking awesome. Tell me a little bit about why you decided to do that.
Great question, Raj. And now that you've opened the floodgates to profanity, we know where this is going. I never know how PG-rated the podcasts are. So here we go. But, when I was thinking about a forward and really reflecting on, who and what and its importance and deadlines for the forward being written and the forward being, edited and ghost written for people. And it just, to me, I think once again became the chasing of the thing. How do I get the biggest celebrity? Who's going to be a celebrity that's impactful enough, powerful enough, that aligns with my brand, that, you know, there's synergy with, that they're going to, you know, collaborate with me, and sort of thinking about that whole matrix, and trying to really wrap my head around the who, and coming back to the why. I think for me, what I really felt about a forward was that the words are going to connect with you if you are meant to be at this place in your journey where you have been on the hamster wheel time and time and time and time again. You've done the on the wagon, off the wagon, on the wagon, off the wagon. You've done all of the tactics, the quick fixes. You are at the place in your life where you are sick of yourself. Like you almost cannot stand your own bullshit anymore. You don't know what to do, but you are so sick of yourself. To me, I was like, there's nothing any other celebrity is going to be able to say to you beyond what it is that I'm sharing with you in this book that is going to convince you that now is the time, or I'm the person. You'll know in the first chapter, in the introduction, if what I'm saying and the questions I'm asking are the questions you have been seeking, you just didn't know it. And there's no other bells and whistles that I can give with a celebrity endorsement that is going to change what's in this book. And so, Raj, for me, the big piece of it, and so much of this is because of the work that I've done with you and really getting clear on my purpose, my desire for service and impact beyond celebrity and beyond fame, my understanding of my own journey and why we have culminated to this point. Through that work with you, I think I was able to really be like, you know what? Everybody has a forward. And so, yes, there's a little fear and panic coming up about the fact that I need one too. Otherwise, what if it means I'm not good enough? What if it means that nobody wanted to endorse me? What if it means that I'm not legit? But as you'll learn through the book, to recognize the limiting beliefs, to come back to my personal evaluation criteria, and to sit back and say, no, I believe that this choice is the right one for me and the book. And I don't believe that a forward is going to change the impact of my words. And so, woosah, let it be. Off we go into the universe. And actually, what's weird is this is the first time I've thought about that decision. Nobody's asked me this question. So fascinating. I haven't thought about it since making the choice back in July. But as I'm reflecting on it now with you all, I'm like, yeah, wouldn't change it. Wouldn't change it for a second. Doesn't make me feel any which way. And in fact, reinforces to me now that the choice that I made in July after vomiting out this book was that what is meant to be here is within. And the note from me to you, that piece that I wanted to sort of cushion the book with.
I love the use of that, cushion the book with.
You know, that to me just felt like an honest disclaimer, and not a disclaimer to be like, this book isn't meant to be medical advice, like not that, but someone being like, yo, man, I poured my heart into this book. I'm sharing my experiences with you. I'm teaching you what it is that I teach my clients, and I hope that it's meaningful and valuable. Also, though, I've been in therapy for 13 years. I continue to be in therapy. I have had to go through iterations and iterations of seeking professional support in so many different capacities. And my book is going to be a tool on your journey, but it is not the be all end all medical prescription to how you are going to heal yourself, because this work and this trauma and this damage that we do to ourselves is so insidious and so woven into every cell of our being by the time we're at the age where we're ready to really crack down, break it all, and start anew, right? And so I think for me, the note from me to you was just like, yes, open this book and be hopeful and be excited about the fact that you're going to get answers. But also, there is no 10-step quick fix formula in here to getting abs. And this is not the extent of the help you may need. So just know that I know before I go get canceled on social media, because let's face it, that's the world that we live in also.
Right.
But really just wanting to set the tone, to be like, we're on the same team here and I'm not confused, but I'm offering you a reframe. And then you'll still have to go Google, and you'll still have to go get help, and you'll still have to get an entire squad around you maybe to get you the support that you need. I'm not the one and only answer, but let's embrace the journey together and let's explore the content together and let's see if it can help.
I love everything about that, Sonia. And it's really interesting because it comes back to being honest about your narrative, right? And that's exactly what you're doing right off the top of your book by saying, hey, guys, listen, I'm not pretending to be this, that, and the other. I'm still you.
Yeah.
I may have just cracked the code before you have, which is why I need to share what I cracked. Like what I cracked. So let's talk a little bit about what you cracked here. I'm looking through here, guys. For those of you who haven't yet got a copy, what is the matter with you? Go get that copy right now. 17 chapters, guys, of incredible stuff. And there's certain things that are popping out at me that I would like to address. Now, you've already, like chapter 1 is happiness is always 10 pounds away. I feel we addressed that. I feel that you've talked about that in the preface. The thing that's really speaking to me here, and it's the piece that without which none of the rest of what you journey people through is going to make any sense to them. And that is your chapter 2, pivot your perspective. In a nutshell, can you explain to people what that is from your perspective? No pun intended.
I think for me, the pivot your perspective chapter, you know, it's a part of several chapters that sort of come together to really unpack and shift the fundamental evaluation criteria that you are living your life by. And Raj, you know so much of my personal story, right? But it's the fact that I am not alone in running the race that I thought needed to be ran, to then realize at every iteration, it wasn't enough. And subsequently, I wasn't enough. And when I had my midlife crisis at 25, I like to do things early, I really looked at the foundation of my life, this house of cards that I had built. And other than my husband, who, by the way, I found after calling off a wedding to the wrong man. So we can essentially call him like practically husband number 2, where I had already done the course correct, right? Other than my husband, I was looking at a life that gave me nothing of what I truly valued. And I had no idea what I valued. I just knew that there was this disconnect, this lack of fulfillment, this me looking around being like, how did I get here? Knowing full well, I drove the car to get there. I drove the car to the penthouse. I drove the car to the career as an executive. I drove the car to the executive MBA. I drove the car to each destination and was sitting there at 25, looking around being like, I don't recognize myself in my life. And it was only through exploring, I didn't know it at the time, I didn't know this was what I was doing, but through exploring my actual values, my personal evaluation criteria. And you'll know that I use this term so much because I feel like when I say a value or values, I'm like, oh, suddenly it's surface level. It's the fluffy stuff. It's the stuff that it's like, it's so good to have good values that, you know, we don't really know what to do with it. But when I think about it as my evaluation criteria for my life, to me, that feels strong. That feels grounded. That feels clear because I don't wing it in any department of my life. I have consultants like Girn. I have teams of people giving me their insights and expertise. I have goals. I have strategies. I'm not winging it, hoping for the best. And yet, what I was finding for myself is it was, you know, uncovered through my journey was I was out there in the world, searching for a feeling, having no idea what would fulfill me, just praying to God that something would be the answer. And of course, nothing was, because I had no evaluation criteria. And when you don't know what that criteria is, how are you supposed to know if you're on track? Right? You're just waiting to be like, good job, Sonia. You're doing great. At what? How do I know I'm doing great? How do I know if I don't know what my evaluation criteria is? And it was like this simple aha moment to say, if I haven't defined for myself, what is it that I believe I need to build my life upon? Vulnerability, authenticity, leadership, impact, service to others. These things that I'm listing off were not even on my radar in the previous version of Sonia. It was some convoluted sense of success, some convoluted sense of prestige, some convoluted sense of I'm smart. It was like the ticky marks that every brown girl has because of the brown parents. And
can we address that? Because I feel that's really, really important. Can we address that, that midlife crisis that you had was determined by the fact that all your, check marks were based off of someone else's idea of what success was, AKA our culture, our parents, and all of that, and wasn't based off of you, because you never had the time to figure you out because you were too busy living a life that you were told was the life that would mean that you're successful. Can we address that a little bit? Because I feel that that is a huge part of the perspective piece that a lot of people can't get their head around.
Yes.
We spend so much time unpacking this without realizing that what we have to, before you can pack on who you are, what are all the layers that make me the authentic me, we have to first unpack all the things that we know don't serve us, which have been adopted from someone else's idea of what success is.
And I love.
Can we talk about that piece? Because I feel that's the piece that's missing. Yeah,
absolutely. I love that you're saying that. And this notion that before we can figure out who we are and where we want to go, we have to unpack all the things that aren't serving us. That's literally the entire first half of the book. That is the entire mindset piece of the book. The mindset piece isn't like, and then, if you meditate and breath work your way through this, then you're going to feel better and then you can start eating more celery. The mindset work is, how do we unlayer all that we have built ourselves upon that isn't serving us? And as South Asians, I'm 38. Things are different-ish now. But 38 years ago, there was a dunda, like there was a heavy hand. Yeah. And there was a really tight set of criteria that you needed to meet. And, my incredible brother had no challenges because he was genuinely gifted and became both a doctor and an engineer.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Sanjeev, for literally making it as hard for me as possible. But, it was like I was in an environment where my parents were high-performing corporate Indian individuals. They were, yes, immigrants, but they moved here individually doing their masters. They met here, got married, came back. One worked at IBM, one worked at Bell Canada. They were not looking for mediocre children.
Right.
And we had 850 family friends, and we were the example family. And my brother was if you do anything in life, let it be something closer to get you to being like Sanjeev. That was the mantra for all of our family friends. And then I was Sanjeev's sister. And so I did my best to square peg, round hole my soul, right?
Can you say that again? That's powerful.
I did my best to square peg, round hole my soul.
That's the moment right there.
I've never said that before, and it's a bit rhymey. I don't mind it, but it's a new one. It's going into my next book, maybe.
Oh my gosh, can't wait.
But, you know, I think that foundation that so many of us South Asians have, not knowing where the line gets drawn between our parents' values and beliefs and our own.
Mm-hmm.
It's from day one that it's all woven in there, you know, especially as a South Asian female, you're not the main character. You are the supporting actor or actress. You are meant to be intelligent and successful, and you are meant to be filled with substance, but you are not meant to be too loud. You are not meant to be in the spotlight. You are not meant to have big personality. You are meant to be filled with substance and to know your role as a supporting character.
Wow,
and there's nothing
I love
about you.
This. Yeah.
Nothing about you. There's nothing about me that either one of us can say was ever from day one being born meant to be a supporting character. No, right? But you do it because you're trying to get there, to make it work, to make your parents proud, to make you proud, because you don't know what you don't know.
Absolutely.
Until the quiet whisper in your soul starts to become louder and louder, and then you're choking and you're suffocating in your existence because the skinny jeans are like, you know, a mold that you need to be able to fit yourself into, and you can't do it and you hate yourself for it. And whether it's skinny jeans or it's becoming a doctor or it's marrying the fair-skinned Indian man who has enough generational wealth, doesn't matter what it is. We are fitting ourselves into these molds that don't quite fit. And I think the big piece of it is that so many of us think that we can't get our shit together when it comes to fitness and nutrition and our bodies. You know, it's like, I don't know, I'm like so fucked up in this department, but everywhere else, I'm solid. 10 out of 10. Right?
Right over here.
Right over there. And it was only in my crumbling. It was only when the house of cards broke for me that I was able to step back and really look at the picture for what it was, which was everything that had been keeping me stuck in the vortex on the hamster wheel of weight loss, desperately chasing thinness, was in fact showing up in every other area of my life. Nobody else could tell because I will always be a high performer.
Right.
But was I maneuvering myself for all the wrong reasons? Was I chasing success and conventional success for all the wrong reasons? Was there a desperate chase to close the worthiness gap? Absolutely. And it was, yes, in the context of my skinny jeans, but it was in the context of needs an executive MBA, needs to be on the dean's list, needs to have long hair and fair skin to the point that Fair and Lovely was being used for 4 years in university. Like, you know, this idea that anything I can do to package myself a certain way will hopefully get me to the point where they like me. And the fact of the matter is, I didn't even know who they were. Was it my parents? Was it the proverbial they? And now that we're living in the hashtag world, they is fucking everybody. Right? Everybody is they. And so it's in that, I think, foundation that so many of us grow up with that we get lost in the mix. Now, I offer hopefully a comforting notion. It's actually really easy to get found. You find yourself without much work if you're willing to come at the journey differently. And I think that for me is the crux of this book. You are not going to come out of this book being like, and then I do 10 sets of 8, and then I do 4 sets of 12, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do this. Here's the nutrition plan on page 79. Done. Skinny. It's not that. It is.
So tell us what it is. Yeah.
how do I help you clean the slate for yourself? Give yourself the permission to forgive and give yourself the permission to come at your journey with yourself here on in with love and with compassion and with understanding more than anything, right? Self-love and self-compassion, that stuff we'll build later, but to really encourage you to understand the minutia of who you really are and what has been driving you, what has been your why, to then clean the slate and come at the journey differently, with different insight, different perspective, different tools in your toolkit, to then come back to the fundamentals of fitness and nutrition and lifestyle differently. And Raj, one of the things I want to mention, because this was sort of what was perceived to be really daring with my book, with all the publishing houses that I spoke with before choosing which one to go with. It was, okay, so we've got mindset stuff, and then we've got some fitness and nutrition stuff. So then, like, isn't this 2 books? Should we just break it up into 2 books then? Because it's like, it's 50% this and then 50% that, or 70% and 30%. And does it really make sense? And of course, that was terrifying to sort of unpack for myself, to be like, am I creating like a new formula for a book that actually doesn't make sense? And that's why nobody has done it. Not because I'm like thinking of something new and interesting, but because it doesn't work. A lot of fear around that, of course. But in really sort of allowing it to come together and really reflecting on the journey that I had both for myself and the journey that I take all of my clients on, it was like, yeah, it maybe hasn't been done before, but this is the actual work for anyone who has made it to the other side. So I don't care if it hasn't been done before. Those people are faking it around the work that needs to get done. If you actually want transformation, you have to clean house. You have to shift the perspective. You have to let go of every iteration of the journey that you have already had up until this moment. And then you have to come back to the fundamentals, because through the vortex, through the hashtag world, through social media, through the spray and pray tactics, through all of the things that we spend our life doing to try and quickly get skinny, we actually either lose perspective or never had it to begin with around what actually matters when it comes to food. What actually matters when it comes to moving your body? Do you know what a calorie is? Other than the fact that it's like tiny little creatures in your closet sewing your clothes tighter every night? Do you know what a calorie is or why calories matter? Because some people are like, oh, if I do keto, then I don't even need to think about calories. Or if I intermittent fast, I don't even need to think about calories. And you're right. Nobody's telling you to go and start counting calories for the rest of your life. But do you know why you don't have to count calories? Do you know what is happening through keto or intermittent fasting that is allowing you not to count calories? Because whether you like it or not, the only way that you're ever going to lose weight is with an energy deficit, and energy being calories. You have to be in a caloric deficit to lose weight. And in fact, you have to be ideally in a caloric surplus to build real, sustainable, unwavering muscle. Sometimes you can do both. It's a sensitive game. But you tell me how many people, if you stop down the street, you are like, so tell me, like, what do you think about calories and are they important? They'll be like, and they'll give you some sort of weird sing-song thing, but they actually, through their journey, have been pulled so far away from the fundamental science of fitness and nutrition that, again, it's like you can unpack and unlayer all you want in the mindset component, but then you got to get really clear on what really matters so that then we can move from mindset to action. And one of my favorite ahas in life has been, and this is where I applaud all the self-help books out there, and I also applaud all the fitness and nutrition books out there, but I do believe that my book here is unique in this standpoint, is you can do all the mindset work, and that is beautiful. It creates an intention. But without the action, there is no practice. There is no output. There is no direction.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do all the action without the mindset, but then all that action is aimless.
Right.
When you weave the mindset and the action together, and the action being our body and how we approach our relationship with our body and how we approach fitness and nutrition. And if we snooze our alarm at 4:30 in the morning, or if we practice self-care, not the Instagram kind, like the real kind, the domain that we have available to ourselves to practice our mindset is our body.
Mm-hmm.
It is how we are showing up day to day to support ourselves through our lifestyle around how do we eat, how do we move, how do we live? Because everything else outside, that's not only our department. Extenuating circumstances, outside factors, other people's considerations, other people's needs. And especially as women, all we do is satisfy other people's needs, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But this is the domain where we are only showing up for ourselves and us alone. And so if that is not the perfect breeding ground and the perfect practice to live that mindset work that you are going to do in every action, in every decision, in every choice that you're making, then I don't know what is.
Right.
That's how it comes together as a new system.
Absolutely. And guys, that's actually the value proposition that is this book, right? The formula being part mind, part action, to actually even being able to start the journey towards yourself.
Yeah.
That's a big value proposition I feel through everything that you're talking about. So the other part of this book, Sonia, because we're getting ready to close off. Can you believe we've nearly been, going at it for an hour? And I feel like there's so much more I want to talk to you about.
We need 10 hours, as you knew we would. We need 10 hours, but we're going there. And so I will let you bring it right home.
Absolutely, sweetheart. So the value proposition, guys, of this book is that formula right there. Can I ask you this, Sonia, the initial feedback that you've been getting from the book with people that have been reading it, especially with people from our culture and perhaps the men out there as well? What have been some of the things that you can share that perhaps you didn't realize this book is doing for people? I'd like to close off with that thought.
Oh, Raj, this is hard for me.
I know it is.
Oh my God, I'm going to get emotional. Sorry.
It's okay. We're going to breathe ourselves through this.
She does this to me every time, guys. She gets me right there. I think what has been so incredible to bear witness to in people's reactions to the book and their feedback to the book is that while I had deeply hoped that my narrative would be universal enough that people could see themselves in it, you don't know what you don't know. And to also know with certainty that what you have experienced and the noise that has been in your mind is something that you can clearly articulate on paper is its own challenge. And I think in just hearing from so many people already that it's like they've never experienced such an honest read. They've never felt so seen before. They have never felt so understood before. They have never felt, less alone before. I think to me just feels really overwhelming because I know how lonely my journey has been. And I know what it's like to feel filled with so much shame that you can't.
That's the big one.
Share the toxicity that lays within with your family or your husband or your best friends, because it's too dark and it's too deep.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yes, while, you know, people are so great about being like, it's so well written and it's so amazing and it's so fun to read and I finished it, I couldn't put it down, and all those amazing things that make you feel like, oh my God, somebody actually read this book. Like, what? Who even reads books anymore? I think the biggest piece for me and the feedback has just been that people are really feeling understood and they are feeling hopeful,
Mm-hmm.
and they are feeling like they really are ready to start again today with
Yes.
with a truly different outlook. And nothing that I'm saying in this book is revolutionary. I'm not a scientist. I didn't come up with new things that are like, a new discovery. But I'm hoping, and I think this is what's coming back to me, is that my willingness to be brutally honest is, I think, what is creating a connection for people and what is really giving people the motivation actually to do the work and start new and to believe that freedom is on the other side. And I think that to me is,
and you can get to the other side.
You can. Yeah, I am a living example of it. Freedom is on the other side. And while there's no end destination, and my journey will continue forever, as Raj knows, you release a book and then all your stuff comes right back up. And maybe not as it relates to food and fitness and nutrition, but as it relates to the values and the limiting beliefs and the perfectionist tendencies and the self-sabotaging behaviors. And what I will say, though, is while I'm not a robot and I'm not perfect, the catch, pivot, and release is a 2-day cycle versus a 20-year cycle. And so that's okay. That's great. And so we embrace the journey and we move forward, hopefully all of us together.
My gosh, sweetheart, what a beautiful way to kind of close off, a subject matter. I feel that we've only just touched the iceberg on. It's almost like there does need to be, multiple books that you do. There does need to be it's like the journey's just begun, even though you feel like a grandma in where you've gotten to your journey, right?
I do.
And I want to share with everyone as we get ready to close off, folks. One thing that I have learned through my time that I've shared with Sonia, that has really been impactful for me. And that's why I oftentimes do what I do. And it's why I'm always at service for people, because I feel that there's always someone or something or many someones or some things that need to come together to help you fully experience the greatest version that you can be of yourself. And the one thing I love about Sonia is she recognizes that she, like me, has an army of people that help her stay true to the narrative that she needs to be today, so that tomorrow is not something that you need to worry so much about, because you're allowed to sit in whatever the today is. Yeah. And to help you guys, in addition to the book, I just want to put it out there, Sonia also started this chapter of her journey that brought her to the version of the book that her OCD perfection tendencies actually allowed her to say that I feel this is authentic to who I am today, therefore put this book out, was a TEDx that she actually had to deep dive her soul and figure out what it was that she wanted people to know, that she felt people weren't allowing themselves to know. I want you to go to her website. There's a million different places that I can send you to go find Sonia, but I want to send you to soniajhas.com. And the reason is her TEDx is accessible there. You can go figure out where her book is available. And she also has this wonderful supportive community called Momentum, where all of the things that she believes in, whether it be the info stuff, the resource stuff, the mindset stuff, the how-to stuff, and the community is all there. Go check out soniajhas.com. And one of my favorite places to hang out with her is at her Instagram, because she's all things different versions of Sonia on at Sonia Jhas. So go check that out as well. And just to finally close off, my love, for anyone out there that hasn't gotten to being ready for this book, what would you say to them to maybe help them jump that fence? And then we will say goodbye to everyone for today.
I think my only piece of advice would be to sit quietly for even a moment without distraction and no fake meditation. Just sit. And if you're called to journal, journal. And if you're called to take notes, take notes. But connect with yourself and tune in to if there is even the faintest whisper somewhere in your body, in your mind, in your soul that is telling you that the journey doesn't have to be this painful, that you are not meant to feel this way, that you deserve more. But do you really try for a moment to capture that feeling of longing if it exists? And if you do, know that that seed that you are planting in that moment is only going to flourish, and it is only going to grow. And it is about embracing that growth and that transformation and that journey. And whether it's about your body or it's about your life, it's all the same stuff. So release the need for justification and excuses and for rationalizing why it's okay that you feel bad today for the purposes of achieving greatness tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And come back to who you really are, whether it's through my book or whether it's through any other tools that you can build in your toolkit. You are allowed to want more for yourself, and we are all on that journey together.
Absolutely. Amen to that, Sonia. What a sincere pleasure to have you on to share your wisdom in all the, perfect imperfections that make us who we are as humans. Thank you so much for, giving space to our audience here at ANOKHI Uncensored. And just, this beautiful nugget of wisdom here, guys, go pick it up. You know now that you need to know more about how you can adapt the formula of this book into whatever happens to be the angst or the thing that doesn't allow you to accept your today, which will allow your tomorrow to be better. Exactly. Thank you so much, my love. I adore you.
I adore you too. Thank you so much for giving me this space and your time. And as I've mentioned, thank you for just both aggressively and subtly holding my hand through the journey. It's just the beginning.
Absolutely. It's just the beginning. And guys, it's just the beginning for all of us, right? I would love for you to go, hang out with Sonia at Sonia Jhas across all of her social platforms. I've already told you guys, my favorite is her Instagram. But you guys go decide for yourself. And honestly, soniajhas.com has it all. Go check it out. Go say hello. And I'll see you next week for another fabulous episode of ANOKHI Uncensored. And you guys know where you can hang out with us. ANOKHI Life, everywhere you need to go. ANOKHILife.com. And, join our free newsletter. All the updates of everything that we do in our world to serve you is there. And I cannot wait to see you next week. Take care and be good to yourselves, guys. Bye, my love.